Imagine waking up as a 9-year-old and by sunset, you rule the mightiest empire on earth. No time to prepare, no turning back, and every decision could shake a civilization. This is not a legend. This is the true story of Tutankhamun, the youngest pharaoh Egypt ever crowned. In this episode, you'll dive deep into a world where childhood ends the moment a crown touches your head. You'll discover how palace secrets, ancient rivalries, and the faith of millions rested on the shoulders of a frightened boy, less a ruler, more a survivor. By the end, you'll see why Tutankhamun's first days changed the course of Egyptian history, and why his story still fascinates the world today. The world is still dark when the city of Akhenaten stirs to life. Beyond the palace walls, the Nile breathes mist over the reed beds, and fishermen in distant canoes whisper prayers to gods old and new. But inside the palace, a place of cold stone and painted sunlight, time moves differently. Time here is measured in heartbeats and secrets. 9-year-old Tutankhamun wakes before dawn, his heart pounding like a trapped bird. Last night he was just a prince, one of many, hidden among the children of the palace, his face familiar only to a handful of tutors, nurses, and his mother. But that world ended when the priests came for him, cloaked in gold and silence. He remembers the rough hands on his shoulders, the scent of incense, the shadows flickering on the ceiling as they hurried him through the maze of corridors. He remembers the way his knees trembled as they washed him in the sacred pool, the cold water making him gasp. He remembers the taste of fear, bitter, metallic, old as the stones beneath his feet. Now, as the sun begins to rise beyond the palace columns, Tutankhamun is no longer just a boy. He is Pharaoh, the living Horus, the son of Ra. The weight of 1,000 years presses down on his thin shoulders, a burden as heavy as the double crown that waits for him in the temple. He stands before a polished bronze mirror as servants dress him in linen and gold. The mirror shows a child brown-eyed, delicate, hands twitching at his sides. His lips move in silent prayer, but his mind races. What am I supposed to do now? Behind him, the chamber doors open with a groan. Viziers and generals file in, their faces carved from stone. They kneel, but he can feel their eyes watching, measuring, waiting for the smallest crack. Tutankhamun tries to stand tall. He has been taught that a pharaoh must never show fear. But the lessons were meant for a man, not for a child who still dreams of running in gardens and chasing beetles under the fig trees. The high priest approaches, his voice echoing against the high ceiling. May the gods grant you strength, O living Horus. His words are honey, but Tutankhamun can taste the poison underneath. The high priest's eyes linger just a moment too long on the boy's trembling hands. Tutankhamun knows, even at this age, that the ceremony is not just for him. The palace is a stage, and every actor has a role. Some whisper that the new pharaoh is merely a puppet, a pawn, to be moved by men much older, much cleverer, and infinitely more ruthless. Some, the loyal few, see hope flickering in his youth. As the coronation procession begins, Tutankhamun's world explodes into color and chaos. The golden canopy is carried overhead. Musicians play pipes and drums so loudly his heart seems to beat in time with the music. Slaves scatter lotus petals along his path. The people crowd the avenues, thousands of faces turn to see the boy who would be king. For a moment, standing on the palace steps, Tutankhamun feels taller than the statues of the gods. The double crown white for Upper Egypt, red for lower settles onto his head. It is heavy, and he sways for a moment under its weight. But he does not fall. The priests proclaim his new name, Tutankhamun, the living image of Aten. The sun glints off his gold collar, dazzling the crowd. His mother, Lady Kia, watches from the shadows, her hands pressed to her mouth. Somewhere in the throng, his half-sister Ankhesenamun's eyes find his, and for a second he remembers who he is beneath the mask. The ceremony stretches on for hours. Every oath, every prayer, every ritual is designed to remind him and everyone else that the pharaoh is more than human, more than flesh and bone. He is the bridge between gods and men. But as the sun climbs higher, the air in the palace thickens with tension. The old priests, the generals, the court scribes, they all bow, but none bend. Each has their own agenda, their own dreams. Some mutter that the new king is a child who cannot rule. Others worry that the ghosts of his father's revolution of a single sun god, Aten, worshipped above all others, still haunt the throne. Tutankhamun feels every gaze like a knife at his back. Later, alone in the cool shade of the palace gardens, he tries to make sense of it all. The world is bigger now, scarier, stranger. His toys lie forgotten in a corner. The laughter of other children is distant, muffled by the heavy doors of duty. He remembers his father's words. A pharaoh is never alone. Even when you are most afraid, the gods are with you. But the gods are silent. Only the wind answers, carrying the scent of lotus and mud. That night, as he lies awake, Tutankhamun wonders if the mask of Pharaoh will swallow him whole, or if, somehow, he can grow strong enough to fill it. For now he clings to the hope that he will not always feel like a frightened boy in a stranger's crown. Outside, the Nile flows on, indifferent to kings and crowns. But in the heart of Egypt, a new era has begun, one that will test the courage, the cunning, and the soul of the youngest pharaoh ever to wear the double crown.